So I don't know about you guys, but tonight's episode of Monday Night Raw was actually pretty enjoyable. We had some really good matches and some pretty good moments, but there are some things that happen in this show that I have some questions, concerns, and some things that I just downright don't understand why they happened the way they did. And maybe you guys can help me out in the comment section. But before we get into this, guys, do me a favor, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, join the family. Let's talk about this. So we started off the show once again with Jey Uso doing his entrance, and one of the most endearing things about this entrance was this little kid. He had braids and his Yeet glasses on. He looked like he was having the time of his life. And I don't know about you guys, but whenever I see a kid having a great time at these shows and interacting with possibly their favorite wrestler, it gets me here every time, because that kid will never ever forget that moment. But then we proceed to have a brawl between Gunther and Jey Uso, which I wouldn't even call a brawl. I mean, Gunther beat the brakes off of this man, and for some reason decided to unzip his long sleeve Temu shirt and throw it into the crowd. And that shirt actually smacked the kid in the face in the crowd, right? And when I say that his selling was impeccable, that guy's selling was God tier Dolph Ziggler level selling when it comes to getting smacked in the face with a soft shirt. Like, that was crazy, and it was a funny moment. And hopefully this kid is okay. Hopefully the zipper didn't poke him in the eye or scratch him in the face. But outside of that, the way he sold that, you would think that he was a part of the script. Like, it was crazy. But anyway, Gunther, after beating up Jey Uso, throws him into the ring and then proceeds to literally beat the shirt off of Jey Uso. And after Gunther is pushed at the top of the ramp by the officials, we see Jey Uso pick up a microphone and says that he wants to face Gunther at WrestleMania for the World Heavyweight Championship. Was the most obvious thing, right? And being obvious or making the obvious choice sometimes is the best decision. And I think in this situation, it was the best decision. I don't have a problem with that at all. My concern comes in with Jey Uso's entrance. Now, I don't have a problem with his entrance. I was at the Rumble. I was yeeting with the best of them. Right? I like it. I think it's a lot of fun, especially for the people who are there in person. But as we saw, last week's episode of Raw and this week's episode of Raw started off with Jey Uso yeeting for about 5 to 6 minutes and actually doing an encore, which is fun for the fans, right? But my concern is overexposure. I know Jey Uso has been doing this yeet chant for a while. I get it. But it was mostly relegated to promos here and there and whenever he's in matches. But if you keep doing it in the beginning of Raw, and possibly if he has a match on the episode of Raw, then I feel like you're going to get it a little bit too repetitive. And we have, what, about 8 episodes of Raw till we get to WrestleMania. So you don't want to do it so much that people get tired of it, because there is a demographic of the Jey Uso fan base that do really like him solely because of the yeet thing. It's not saying that that's all that's great about him, but I'm saying that there are fans who solely do like him because they get the yeet whenever he comes on the screen. And if people get tired of it, you know, you want to give him the best possible opportunity to have staying power when he does win that World Heavyweight Championship at WrestleMania. So all I'm saying is that I just want them to give him the best chance of that. And we already got people who do say this particular wrestler deserves a title, and once that person gets said title, all of a sudden they're saying, why did they give him the title? So you know those people are coming. So just to kind of help Jey Uso in this title reign that he's going to get, what I'm assuming is going to happen at WrestleMania, let's put him in the best possible position. But outside of that, I don't really have any problems with what's going on here. We did get a pretty good tag match between Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez versus Io Sky and Dakota Kai. I really did like that tag match. But the weird part was that backstage segment between Rhea Ripley and Io Sky, where Rhea told Io that they're going to have a title match on the Monday Night Raw after Elimination Chamber. What? Like, why not have this match at the Chamber? I mean, the way that they're booking Io Sky now, she's not going to be in the Chamber match, and Rhea Ripley probably has nothing to do, so why not have that match there? And having it on Monday Night Raw, it oddly feels like when WWE knows there's a fan base that want a certain championship match to happen, they just throw a match together, give it to them, and say, here, don't say we didn't do it, shut up, and let us do what we want to do. Kind of like what they did with Finn Balor fans when they had him have a triple threat match at Main Event with him, Damian Priest, and Gunther. Like, it just feels like it's a throwaway match to get people just to shut up, right? That's just how I feel about it. Maybe I could be wrong, but Io really should have been in this Chamber match, bro. She makes any multi-women match on any PLE 10 times better than it should be, right? And that's just my personal opinion. I don't understand this choice, but you know what? we're going to get a match between Rhea and Io, and that's going to be a great match on Raw. So for the people going to that episode of Raw, I'm sure you guys are going to have a fantastic time. Another part that was kind of weird, and I kind of understand why they did it, was the tag match between the Viking Raiders and the Creed brothers. At the end, you see Julius Creed hitting Ivar with the tag team title before they hit their tag team finisher, which he literally could have just clotheslined Ivar when he jumped on a rope and could have stopped that whole thing, and the Creed still could have lost that match. But I'm guessing they wanted to do it to where they didn't want the Creeds to get pinned, and they wanted to protect the Creeds. So I guess the best way to do it when you have a heel tag team is to hit them with the title. But to see them pick up the titles and Ivy now give it to them and they're holding it up like they won, if I didn't watch the match itself, I would think at the end that the Creeds actually won. So I didn't understand that. I get kind of why they did it, but it was kind of an awkward finish to a really, really good tag match. Both teams did a fantastic job here. I would love to see a part 2. Hopefully a part 2 does happen at the Chamber, but it was a weird ending. So the other part that I don't quite understand was the Women's Elimination Chamber qualifier match between Lyra Valkyria versus Bayley. Now, in the beginning of this match, the cameraman put an emphasis on the presence of not only George Kittle, but putting it on Roxanne Perez. And I know every time a person's in the crowd, it doesn't necessarily mean that they will get involved, but why make it known that she's in the crowd if she wasn't going to do anything during or after the match? And this week would have been perfect for her to get involved, because this is a go-home show for Roxanne Perez and Bayley, because they have their triple threat match against Julia at NXT Vengeance this weekend. So it would have made sense to add more heat to that match. And if Bayley wanted to, she could have got involved in Roxanne Perez versus Raquel Rodriguez, their qualifying match next week on Monday Night Raw. And on top of that, if she would have cost Bayley this match, it would have protected your women's IC champion, who have yet to defend that title. But instead, Lyra Valkyria, as the champion, lost the match pretty clean. Now, I know there was a spot where Bayley slammed Lyra's neck into the rope, which was a heel move, and I feel like they didn't put that much of an emphasis on that part of it, but you still should have protected your champion, right? And even if they didn't want Lyra Valkyria to go to the next round because she's already a champion, you could have just had Ivy now get involved in this match and cost Lyra this match, because they're already in the feud, and that would have put more emphasis on that situation there and have Bayley go on to the next round. So that whole thing was just kind of weird. I don't know if they had Roxanne out there to make us think one thing was going to happen and then find out it didn't. I know they love doing a lot of swerves, but some swerves just kind of don't really make sense to happen in certain things. You know, it's not a big deal, but it just makes you wonder, like, why did they do it that way? But at the end of the day, man, those are my questions and concerns. Again, they're not big deals. I did have a fun time watching this show. We did have some really, really good matches. Any 3 of those matches could have been match of the night, in my personal opinion. But what do you guys think? What is your response to my concern? Let me know in the comment section. Thank you guys so much for watching. Salute, peace, have a great day.